Morning, everyone. Well, today, as we know, it's December 31st, so that means that it's the last day of 2014, and tomorrow is the new year. By the way, it's my birthday tomorrow, and I turn 21. That means I get to drink legally, as if I wasn't drinking prior my 21st birthday. But that's besides the point. Now I get to drink and have respect. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is basically, in general, what has been happening in 2014. And to be honest, nothing really good. I mean, personally, I can't say that it was horrible for me, but there was just a lot going on with racism, with a lot of ignorance, and a lot of hate. And I don't really want to go into details, but it's been a rough year for a lot of people. So I do give my condolences to them, especially yesterday when I found out that a trans girl, Leelah Alcorn, committed suicide because of cisnormativity and how she couldn't deal with her parents, their ignorance. And someone did mention that we really shouldn't blame I mean, not to say that we're going to act like the parents aren't responsible or that they deserve sympathy, because I personally feel like they don't deserve my sympathy. That's just my opinion, because I feel strongly about child abuse and things like that. So I personally don't really want to have any empathy for them. I don't really want to have sympathy for how they treated her. Like, I'm just angry about child abuse like that. So I personally do not feel like they deserve sympathy. It's like the only thing that you should really say is like, I'm sorry for your loss. But just the whole thing with the mom misgendering her and basically refusing to acknowledge her as a girl that she was a girl, and then abusing her, like forcing her to go to Christian therapists, knowing good and well that they would not help her. I just feel so angry that her parents, society, the school, the therapist failed her. So I personally don't feel like they should get my sympathy, but that's your decision. But at the same time, trans activists and trans women were right. We shouldn't really just say, oh, it's the parents. No, it's us. It's cis privilege. It's cis normativity. It's cis people who are so ignorant of trans women, especially of gender identity. It's us. We're so ignorant about that. And people want to say, well, it's the parents. It's the parents. No, it's us. It's cis people. It's our ignorance. Our ignorance, our bigotry is killing young trans girls, young trans teenagers, trans boys and trans girls. And people want to say, it was a parent. So I believe that people say that so they won't feel guilty, like, it's not us, it's just ignorant parents. No, it's cis normativity, it's us. And people have to be frank. You want to say, well, it's racist, it's ignorant people, but we are oppressors. And if you want to be a good ally, or if you want to make people more aware, you have to listen. You have to listen to trans voices, and you especially have to research and call out trans misogyny and trans hate whenever you see it. Because I personally, as a cis person, when I see trans misogyny or trans hate, I speak out against it. And I try to educate certain people like my mom about it. I'll ask her a question like, how would you feel if you had a daughter, say, for instance, me, and I was like, I'm not the gender that you think I am. How would you feel? And she just looked at me like, Kara, that's stupid. She said that. And I'm like, how do you feel about transgendered women and men? She's like, I'm not a bigot, but I just think the whole thing is ignorant. I mean, you guys are on this phase about how, you guys want to crusade for everyone and try to save the world, and you try to do this out of being trendy. And I'm like, it's not really about being trendy. People are becoming more educated. And she's just like, it's just ignorant. She doesn't really like to look at things as a systematic way of categorizing people. She just looks at it as ignorance. She thinks that because she's not openly turning people away who are different than her, then somehow she's not a bigot, because she doesn't think, I'm not going out saying that I hate trans people or that I hate gay people or anyone a part of LGBTQIA, then that makes her free of criticizing society. She believes that as long as one person is good, then no one else should be called out, and that's simply not true. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say, my take on it, because I don't really want to speak over people who know more than me. But I also wanted to get into something that I saw online. I was watching a video on colorism, and they were talking about good hair. And Melissa Ford, I believe she was at one time, I'm not sure if she still is, considered the highest paid video model. Now, Melissa Ford is light skinned and mixed race. So obviously that has a lot to do with why she is considered the hottest video vixen of all time. At least that's what I believe. And it was really sad hearing her talk about good hair and how when she was growing up, she thought good hair was long, straight blonde hair because her mom is a white woman. And I was like, oh, that's really horrible, because as someone who's not mixed race, someone who does not have a white mom, I really cannot imagine how it hurts to look at your mom, who is considered a standard of beauty, and realize I don't look like her. And I understand that there are some white girls who are white passing. I mean, not white girls. There are some mixed girls who are white passing, but they still feel this isolation, like, I'm not a white girl, I'm a mixed black girl. And I wanted to say that it's very hurtful. It's awful to hear mixed girls have low self-esteem because of their mothers, because sometimes maybe their mother isn't doing a good job in teaching them self-love, because maybe they don't know what it's like to be a black woman. But I personally feel that if you choose to have I don't mean choose like maybe it was your choice, like you wanted it, but if you are someone who is raising a mixed race child who is half black, it is your responsibility to research things like anti-blackness, colorism, especially colorism, and misogyny if you have a mixed race daughter. I don't care how she identifies. If she is half black, you must teach her about her black history, and you must teach her about black beauty. You can sit there and say, well, she's not black, she's mixed. I don't care, because her experience is going to be pretty anti-black, or she's going to have the experience of a black girl dealing with anti-blackness no matter how she identifies. Now, you can identify how you want. That's not the issue. But if you know your child is half black and she's going to take after her black parent, you have to teach her that she's beautiful, not because she's mixed or that she's a mixture of you, her whiteness, but you need to teach her that there are girls who look like her who are beautiful. You need to teach her that it's not just mixed girls that are beautiful, but black girls, dark-skinned black girls, brown-skinned black girls. Don't be so limited in teaching your mixed race daughter that she's beautiful. Because yes, it's probably horrible having parents who aren't really supportive or want to have this sort of ignorance or try to make it like, it's a phase, you'll get over it. Parents say that, and a lot of times it's parents of privilege. Cis parents with transgender children, or white parents with mixed race or black children. And I don't want to say it's all, because I don't want to come for people's parents or imply that their life is wrong because of how they are raised or who their parents are. But at the same time, I'm thinking like there are parents who really need to research. They need to research their child. They need to understand what their child is going through, because so many parents tend to have more privilege than their child. My mom and I are about the same skin color. We look alike. So I never really had an issue with looking at her and saying, I don't look like her. I never really had that issue. So I do understand that there is unique differences between one who is biracial and one who is monoracial. And a lot of people have an issue with monoracial and biracial because they believe that monoracial implies that we aren't mixed race or that we have no cultural ties to other races. I personally say biracial and monoracial because if I were to say biracial and then black person, obviously that would be kind of confusing, or that would be kind of politically incorrect, because there are biracial people who identify as black, who are considered black, who live the black experience, like Mariah Carey. I believe there are people like Rashida Jones and Leona Lewis who aren't really considered black, because I don't believe they see themselves as black. But other people like Mariah Carey do. So you have to intersect that as well. But this whole thing with parents and trying to take care of their child, but they really do more harm than good. And speaking of doing more harm than good, here's another thing that I hate hearing. I hate hearing this. At first, I didn't say anything because I thought it was funny that white women were getting the end that black women usually get with the whole slut shaming. So I really didn't say anything. I didn't really approve of the slut shaming, but I just really wasn't going to defend them like that. And I'm still not defending them now, but here's what I hate. I hate when black women are talking about why black men like white women, or why they go for white women instead of black women. They say things like, well, black men like white women because they are loose and they're easy and they're submissive. And what that is doing, that's not harming white women. That's not harming white womanhood. You know, that's not making black women look better. It's not, because what that is doing, it's doing more harm to young black girls. Basically, what you are saying is that, you know, if you be a good black girl who goes to church, then maybe a black man will like you. You know, you teach black girls that stuff. You know, you want them to feel better about themselves, but by saying things like, well, black men only like white women because they are easy, you're basically saying, well, what if I was easy? You know, maybe I want to sleep around too like that white woman. You know, maybe I like black men like that. Maybe I want to sleep with them. Maybe I want to sleep with all types of guys. So are you saying that I can't be like her? Because what that also entails is that white women have more sexual agency than black women. They can make the choice to sleep with black men. They can make the choice to express their sexuality, as Nicki Minaj elegantly put it on her Instagram. But black women, they have to be scrutinized. You know, black women are told, you know, be little good church girls, you know, just be good church girls, and maybe society will like you. I feel like a lot of us have been told that, you know, be a good church girl, you know, don't sleep around. I'm not a good church girl. I don't want to be a good church girl. And people think because I am denouncing being a good person, or a good girl, that means that I want to be a bad person who has no morals. No, that means that I don't want to be sexually repressed. That means that I don't want to be oppressed because of my gender. I don't want to be oppressed just because I am a woman who wants to have sex, or who is sexually active, or who likes to wear revealing clothes. You know, I don't want to be looked at as a good girl, because a good girl is really someone who is oppressed by society, just like the lady label. I don't want to be a lady. I want to be a woman, because a lady is just a social construct to slut shame women who aren't respectable. That's basically what all I had to say today. I also wanted to talk about one more thing that I was thinking about for the past couple of days. I remember in high school, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was bullied, and I wasn't really innocent either. There was a lot of slut shaming going on, a lot of misogynistic remarks against girls that I didn't like, and they didn't like me. All that whole boy issue, you know, competing for male attention. But I was facing a lot of anti-blackness, and I was thinking about half of the kids that I went to school with who used a lot of microaggressions against me. And looking back on it, a lot of them weren't even white. And by that, I mean they were white passing people who were POC. They may look white to most people, but they themselves do not classify themselves to be white. Because I know one of my worst tormentors was a girl who was Jewish, and I believe she is Arab. I believe that she is a Jewish woman of Arab descent because of her last name. So I'm not sure if she identifies as white, or if she considers herself to be a woman of color, but just really white passing. Like she's white passing. You know, she can virtually have white privilege unless, you know, she broke down her ethnicity and how she identifies and her religion and stuff like that. There was another girl who I didn't get along with because she liked a guy like, petty stuff like that. She herself was a woman of color, and I believe she identified. There was even times where people thought that she was mixed with black. Now, she is sort of white passing. She looks like a tan girl, but I believe that she is Mexican and Indian. Sometimes people have even looked at her and said, is she black? I know my dad saw a picture of her and said, oh, she's really pretty. Is she black? So I think at times she can appear as maybe Leona Lewis type of thing, but I don't believe that she is mixed with black, but I believe that she is mixed race. And then there was another girl who I actually got along with pretty well. I didn't like her at first because I thought she was fake, but after a while I thought, she's really a nice person. Like, she really doesn't have a mean bone in her. And she is Palestinian. She is white passing as well. She's not white, and she made it clear that she was not white. She would always, say, that she was a Muslim and that she was of Palestinian descent. And a lot of girls that sort of use their white passing privilege against me to basically show microaggressions or appropriate black culture just made me think that just because you are POC does not mean that you can't have some sort of white privilege or at least passing privilege, because there are a lot of white passing people who may not identify as white and may have just conditional white passing privilege. They can still use some sort of white privilege to oppress other people or to utilize microaggressions, especially when it comes to blackness. And I just realized how that girl who I really did not like, she was nasty. She would always make these sort of sly comments about how I talked, and she would sort of utilize broken double AVE to sort of mock black women. A lot of the popular white girls would post pictures of fat black women, fat dark-skinned black women, and say, oh, don't you guys think that they're pretty? And they would ask white guys that. They would ask white guys if they thought that those women were pretty. And I knew that it was racist, but I didn't really say anything. I didn't really articulate what it was well at the time. But I just realized how a lot of the white girls or white passing girls that I went to school with made it clear that they felt some type of way about black women. I remember when I was in the bathroom stall or the locker room, this one girl wasn't there because apparently she couldn't swim. That she had a note signed and it said that she couldn't swim. So I overheard the girls that I was trying to be friends with at the time. I tried desperately to be their friend, by the way. They were talking about how, well, I can understand why she didn't show up, because if they were black, they wouldn't want to get their hair wet either. I would hate to be black with that hair. And I'm like, oh, okay. At the time I thought, maybe I do have bad hair. I thought in order to have good hair, it had to be permed so my hair could be, straight and fine like the other white girls. Because I remember thinking, wow, my hair is just as straight and fine as other white girls. So that really did have an impact on me. And I remember we were in the pool area and I said, oh, my swimsuit is all tied up in my ass. And one of the girls that I really was trying to be cool with was like, well, that's because you have a ghetto booty. And she said it jokingly, but I could tell that, what she meant was, well, that's because you're a black girl with a big ass. And I feel like that would have been less racist than ghetto booty. But yeah, I never really talked about my high school experiences because, that's something that I sort of want to keep in the past. But yeah, this whole microaggression thing and how I talk about white privilege and other forms of isms just didn't come out thin air. It was bottled up. And I probably didn't go through that until high school. But yeah, peace out. Happy New Year's. Have safe. Maybe I was about to say have safe sex. Yeah, have safe sex. But have fun. Drink responsibly. And wish me a happy birthday. See ya.